today on our podcast episode, we want to be talking about routines, man. Trading routines specifically. But I feel like routines are so important outside of trading. Yeah? What you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Trading and routines. We're creatures of habit, and where do habits come from? They come from our routines.
So before we dive into best practices on trading routines, I want to bring it back. I want to bring it back to when how does a routine develop, for particularly in our personal experience, right? Like we do things, like you were saying, we're creatures of habits. We do things repeatedly, not no, even recognizing that it's a routine, right? The way I brush my teeth, the way I get up in the morning, and all that. On the other part, yes, sometimes we carry bad habits, but on another part, with routines or habits, those can change for the better. So I want to bring it back. I mean, where do you think the routines come start, or where do we get them from? Where do you think, a lot of our routines that we have now, where does that come from? Is it just come around being a kid? Is it come around schooling, friends?
Definitely. So, as far as psychology goes, our brains, the human brain, is more susceptible to learning up to the age of 7, and that's when we're really just absorbing. We're a sponge. So if we learn how to brush our teeth properly from ages 1 through 7, then it's a lifelong habit. It's a lifelong yeah. And so I guess what happens is you start off as a routine, and that routine becomes a habit, and that becomes your life. We're just a creature of a bunch of habits. And just before we get into this, I want to recommend two great books. Is The Power of Habit and Atomic Habits. I know Atomic Habits. Steve Clear, I believe his name is James Clear. Anyway, they talk all about habits. They talk all about healthy habits, and then they also talk about unhealthy habits. And so unhealthy habits can come in the form of watching TV. So if you're a kid and on weekends, from 9 to 12, you would just spend hours watching TV, that would affect you all the way through your adulthood if you don't purposefully change. So I know I had that was a bad habit for me. But yeah, as kids, that's when we're most susceptible, man. What do you think?
Yeah, dude. What comes to mind was I'm thinking of my bad habits. When we're talking about habits and routines, dude, I'm like, okay, let me see. One of my, I used to have this bad habit, or I kind of do still, biting my nails. You know, I bite them sometimes, annoyingly. It just happens, dude. And my wife, only recently, my wife points it out. Not recent, like maybe in the last year or so. And she points out, she's like, "Stop biting your nails," and she's like saying that as a mom, like a mom, And when it comes to that, I keep repeating that habit, right? Because it was just a routine for me. Like growing up, that was my bad habit, biting my nails. And at one point, last year, I was biting my nails, and it freaking cracked my tooth, dude. So I was like, oh,
Oh, no way. Wow.
oh, I'm like, okay, oh, I get strong nails, huh? but
Healthy
that was
boy
a
drinks milk.
turning
How's that?
point. That was a turning point for me, because it was brought to my attention that yes, that's a bad habit. Bad habits have consequences, or it has like a cause and effect, right? You do one thing, something else happens, right? And it can be good. There's good habits as well. So when we're talking about this topic, right, and that's not even freaking related, biting nails, I hear people having that, they do that too, and it's not an uncommon thing. But going back to the topic, is just those forms of action that we do daily in our lives that will affect the future. If I was to just sum up habit and the way I view it, and if you want a good, successful life where you're going to be expanding or multiplying or whatever, right? Whatever profession or career, business you're going to be going into, you want to build good habits for that particular path. And which brings us to tonight's topic. Well, before we dive into that, Reed, what's a bad habit you have, bruh?
Oh
Other than
man,
watching TV.
biting my nails. Dude, seriously, biting was so key. And you made me think of so many things there. It's like, for a habit to change, for us to change a habit, either, and this is going to tie beautifully into trading here, is, you know, something of consequence has to happen, a form of repercussion. There's a result, whether it's a bad result or a good result. So in turn, you continuously, in your example, did this habit until your tooth chipped. But get like we've heard it from like our spouse, you heard it from people like, hey, you're doing this. Oh, it's that's probably not a healthy habit. And so, I got pointed out too. Like Mary and I, we do it, and I mean, it comes down to subconsciously. You're actually stressed. That's why our human physiology, we do that without knowing we're doing it. So, but that's a different topic. And they teach you how to overcome a bad habit. And this is actually in trading books. Let's say you broke a plan, or let's say you want to place a trade that is not fitting to your plan. You have a rubber band, and you take a. I've tried this habit, doesn't work for me, but you slap the rubber band on your wrist. You have a rubber band on your wrist, and every time you feel like you're breaking something, you flick it. So basically, you're inflicting pain, right? And to deter you from doing said bad habit. So I mean, that's just something, going off of it, that either you're gonna, like, for example, in trading, you're gonna blow your account if you don't fix your bad habits of greed and fear, or or FOMO, or you're going to, just, it's not going to be pretty. That's the result. Good habits lead to good things. Bad habits will lead to worse things, I would say, or
Mm,
worse circumstances. So, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we could go into trading. Yeah, how does
Yeah.
that affect us in trading, man?
How does it affect us in training? No, that's great. I mean, this is like not groundbreaking research. It's been around. It's part of our human nature to have habits and routines. And but it brings to light because when people dive into trading per se, or investing, they have just such a tunnel vision, right? They want to take in something new that they've never done before, and they're mixing it in the pot of their habits and expecting it to come out in the way they want it, right? The recipe, it's like you have the recipe to make adobo, right? For Filipinos out there, making adobo, and then you throw in some, I don't know, Hawaiian food, or whatever, Thai curry. It's not gonna mix, yo. It's not gonna
You can
mix.
make some.
I
It's
don't know.
a culture mixing pot. Bad example,
It is
but
bad. Maybe
I get
okay.
you.
Maybe the food.
The
You
listeners
know,
can get
no.
you.
You know what? Let me retract. You're trying to make adobo, but you're throwing spaghetti sauce in there. Okay, it's not gonna work.
There you go.
If
Yeah.
the outcome is to make adobo, but you're adding this one ingredient, it's not gonna work. Okay, so okay, they're a better example. So going
Awesome.
back
That
to
was
that,
good.
when you're approaching trading as a newbie or investing, you've never done it before. You've never made a trade, you never bought a single stock, or never put your money to work outside of a bank, it can turn out like it can go 0 to 100 real quick, man. Right? You were mentioning you've known people who bought the recent highs in crypto. They were so scared leading up all these years, watching it make new highs, new highs, new highs. Then whatever happened in their lives, they finally took the leap to go buy the highest high, all-time high, only for it to be dropping right now 40-50%. That's gonna leave a scar on them, on their mentality, physically. They're gonna be like, "Ah, screw investing. Dad, my mom was right. So and so was right. Investing is so risky. Never, never again. Never again."
And that
Yeah.
comes to the victim mentality, right? They don't want to take the blame.
Mm.
They want to blame the person who introduced them to the stock or trading overall. They're not going to say it was my actions that put myself into that situation, you know? And so, like, I think that's one thing. You got to acknowledge your habits. You got to acknowledge those decisions that you've made. And people, I think the habit of most um, traders, failed traders, so the common statistic is 90% of traders fail. And I think what happened is they don't address their bad habits from the get go.
Ooh, yes, yes. Let's talk about just that scenario, right? Bob, got some money sitting in cash, and the newest hot thing on the street is crypto. He finally takes a jab at it, throws in blindlessly. I don't know, maybe he was convinced from his friend, whatever, and he puts his money in crypto, right? And his habits outside of trading or investing, maybe his lifestyle is he's just frugal, getting by. He doesn't splurge as much, and he's attached to his money. He like keeps every single he tries to pinch pennies at wherever he can, right? And so those are the habits he's building up with going into investing into this high volatile market. What kind of recipe does that add up to?
Never
It maybe
going to trade
will.
again. You know,
It might
like
work out
I
for
mean,
him.
yeah, it may work out, right? It's at that point it's a 50-50% chance if you have no edge, right? You're just going off of pure hype at that time, you know. So
Yeah. So let's
that's
take
it.
Bob. Let's take Bob, right? So that's what he did in 2021. He took a chunk, he had 50 grand sitting in his savings, and he took 30 grand, 35 grand, put it in whatever coin, okay? Um, and he continued his life. He's working a 9 to 5, right? And then he's just watching the market. Every time he comes home from work, he's like, okay, where's it at now? Where's it at? Without even spending any extra time, learning about the technology or improving his skill set, learning about new different things. And, he doesn't have any of that. He's just hope, hoping his investment will go up in value. And just with those actions, guys, we can say that there's not a good chance he's going to be successful at it, because all his actions or routines he's doing does not put him in the best position for managing his money in the best way. And so we want to bring up this topic of trading routines where, hey, if you're the Bob who wants to take more control of your money, here's the best what routines to implement, right? If you want to trade, if you want to make a living or make X amount of money or whatever, if you want to long term invest, there are best practices or routines to increase your chances of making a profit in the markets consistently over and over. Everyone's going to get lucky, hit that one, twice winner, but how much do you keep in the end? We want to talk about best practices leading up to trading, and that kind of sets the tone for your trading day. Let's just talk about Bob, who's learning about trading, and he's figuring, watching the markets, learning about it, reading all the books, investing in himself. What kind of routine do you think Bob has that he's going to be able to be successful? Starting out his morning.
It's very sounds counterproductive, but the first thing you're gonna do, Bob, is not look at the charts. Ironically, like you think that successful trader, many successful traders, that's not what they're doing. They're not looking at the charts as soon as they wake up. Like a lot of the people we do, like not people we know, but just our generation, the generation coming up, the new investors. First thing they're doing, they're checking the charts. They're even checking it in the middle of the night. They're checking their positions. So one, they're throwing that habit out. Successful traders are throwing that habit of constantly checking the charts out. So you're waking up, you're drinking water, you're hydrating. Why? Because you want that brain to flow you want the fluids to flow through your body. You're lubricating your whole body, and then that allows nutrients to flow a lot smoother into our brain, our thinking brain. And then from there, you want to slowly wake up, slowly ease yourself into the charts if you have time. I like to, for me, I would recommend Bob to get the blood going, whether that's just a 10 to 15-minute walk or a full-on workout. You just want to get the blood going, circulating through your entire breathing exercises. You don't even have to get up off of the bed. You could just do breathing exercises and then a solid breathing exercise routine. I'm not talking just like breathing 1, 2. I'm like deep
Wim Hof,
inhales,
Wim Hof.
holding the Wim Wim Hof, yeah, literally that's who I was thinking of. Is Wim Hof breathing? Or Laird Hamilton, professional surfer, he also teaches breathing techniques. Once you get that breathing techniques in, that also circulates your entire system of the human physiology. So just starting the day with movement. That's it.
Yeah.
That's hydration and movement. That's like probably the biggest keys. Even for anyone, not just traders, is just getting your mind right in that physiological way to adapt, and then start looking at the charts. You're not going to place it, and then when you start looking at the charts, you're not going to place a trade right away. That's what I think. What do you think, Glenn? What are some good morning routines? Just morning routines.
Yeah, no, coming into this, right, while were just explaining some of the best routines, it kind of made me reflect on my own morning routine. Like growing up, I would just see what my parents would do. They weren't the type to get up early in the morning, exercise. My mom would always be up in the morning, having her tea, making breakfast for me and my siblings, And then my dad, he'd get up, have a little bit of breakfast. He wasn't a big coffee drinker, and then it was it was just hang out for a little bit and then go to work. And so growing up, we didn't have all that. I didn't have uh, access, or I didn't even know these things existed, right? Until I started learning about trading, until I started learning about entrepreneurship and business, that taking care of your body, yourself first, like what Reed was saying, drinking water, breathing, getting the body moving, body flowing, will set you up for a better day or more optimized day throughout. Because once the day gets going, it's gonna just keep going. You can't pause time, be like, "Yo, I'm not ready for this yet, man. I'm not ready. Stop, market. Don't do anything." Get the body moving. Take care of yourself first. So that's number one. I've learned throughout my journey. That would be number one, and of course, that comes with taking care of your family, your obligations, or if you have that position and that role in your family or household, you got to go and set that up too. What does that look like, right? And then you want to, after you're all worked out, you're all like, yeah, I'm all ready. You hit your personal best in your in the gym, dude. You just keep going. Then you can go ahead and start approaching the markets. Maybe when you're sound, you have a clear mind, right? You got some food in your belly, coffee, whatever. Then you want to start approaching the markets. Now, there are those people who do have different trading schedules where they don't even need to be at the charts early in the morning, right? Like for me, example, swing trade, trend follower. I'm holding positions overnight. I don't need to wake up on the New York Open 3:30 Hawaii Standard Time to take advantage of the market. So for me, it's not as crucial to be having a strict 3:30 a.m. schedule and going off of that. So I guess what I'm trying to say, the goal is to create your routine based on your lifestyle, what's important to you. Of course, health, and what health is up there. Take care of yourself first. You cannot take care of the market before your portfolio if you can't take care of yourself.
Oh, that's solid. That is solid advice. Basically, for me, a lot of when I first started trading, man, I made trading fit my life. I would be like, life has to go on pause, and I need to place this trade. I need to look at the charts. I use that word. I need to do this, right? No, it's really I wanted to. And like it's not necessary. Like Glenn said, it's not necessary to be looking at the charts that often, right? It's because it depends on your lifestyle. So if you have your mornings off, then maybe yeah, you want to look at the charts all morning and you want to trade. But if let's say you only have 2 hours out of your entire day because you got family, You got to take your kids to practice. You got to take them to school. You got to go to work. Then after work, you got to pick your kids up. You got to go get dinner. And then at the end of the night, only 8 o'clock at night, you have this 1 hour of opportunity. If that 1 hour of opportunity is your trading window, then that's when you trade. Don't be like, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna pick you up from school. I'm gonna get you an Uber so I could look at the charts, son. Like that's not that's it. That I would. I'm not gonna tell anyone to live how to live, but it's just be smart and like make proper decisions. Like, how do you think that would affect your child and your child's psychology, or like just your friends or family? How do you think it affects them psychologically? And then in turn, uh, knock on wood, like all things go against you, how do you think that would affect you psychologically as well? Like, okay, because when there's down times in the market, I'm thankful I got Glenn. We talk it out, we listen to each other and support each other. And having that circle of people that's around you helps you psychologically. And so you want to have that in mind. You want to keep yourself first. And I think, having that circle around you comes next, because we're talking about healthy routines, and that comes from a healthy mind, and that's having that circle helps cultivate that healthy mind.
Yes. So let's switch it up a little bit. Let's say Bob does have only 2 hours out of the day to trade. 8 p.m. is when he can actually look at the charts intentionally, right, and make some analyzing decisions from there, right? What would be a best practice at that time? If you have that kind of schedule, if you have that lifestyle where you are still uh, taking care of the household, have a lot of responsibilities, working your career, because you can trade and work your full time career. It's possible. It's totally possible. So, what would you recommend best practices or routines for Bob, who from 8 to 9 he wants to put in? He's able to trade. He's able to trade. Like, should he
You
be?
started off.
Oh,
No, the word intentional, man. You
boom!
you hit it. You hit it so on point. Intentional. So that, like, let's say you only have an hour. What if you spend that hour just going over your journal? Or some trading, maybe it's only researching one specific stock. It doesn't matter what you do, it's the intentional behind it. So because you're going to get more out of that hour than some people get out in 4 hours to 8 hours, because they could have the TV running, they could have a podcast running, and the charts is running, they could have entertainment running, news running. Are they really intentional? They may say yes, but it's absolutely false. They are not fully intentional. And I think that's really, Bob, that's what it comes down to, is if you're intentional, that's the key. And then from there, everything will flow. It's okay. So it doesn't
Mm.
matter what you do with the charts or in the charts or in the market, as long as you're intentional about your decisions and your choices and your actions and what you're doing, then it's solid. That's good for you. But Bob, if you want to be a trader, if you want to be an investor, you got to make that 1 hour of time. That is your new routine. From 8 to 9, my routine is trading. Boom. 8 to 9, babe, sorry, I need this 1 hour. Son, daughter, family, or what, maybe your son and daughter or kids, they go to sleep at 10. Okay. I got to make that hour between 11, or I got to make it hour when they're in the shower. You need to communicate that. And when you communicate that sternly and confidently to your family members, they're going to, provide that support. I feel like, and I don't know, it's rough to say, like everyone's family is different, right? But there's going to be a point where people are going to realize, like, yo, that Bobby, you really want to trade, man. you really want to do this. So I'm going to give you this hour. And so, that's what I think. How about you, man? What would you recommend Bob do in this hour?
Yeah. No, that's super good. Like, you brought up a good point. I mean, using that word, it starts with intention, right? Letting your family, your close circle know that, hey, look, I want to get good at this. This is a new venture. I want to learn. I'm investing in myself. I'm taking action. So I need to move my schedule around, and I need a solid free hour or whatever that may be so that you can make your time and you can make progress on where you want to go, you know? But on top of that, say your trading block or your availability is 8 to 9 after dinner, right? You cannot go in looking at your journal drunk or high or under the influence.
Totally.
You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
cannot.
that's a very, yeah, absolutely. You got to be
You,
sober.
right, you
You
can't
got
be
to be in the
distracted.
right
You
mind.
can't be watching the Super Bowl or whatever game is happening at the time or whatever sports event or latest news, whatever. You cannot because you need to be present. You want to be intentional with making use of that time. So you have to try to have a clear mind, right? You have to be focused, you have to be intentional, and you just got to do it. And there are going to be times, nights or days where you feel like you're not really making any progress. But when you have sound, good, foundational ways to approach it with your intentionality, those incremental steps are going to lead to a bigger thing. You are going to establish your trading your edge. You are going to learn how to risk manage better. You're going to learn how when where to not press on the gas during these times, high volatile times or you know what I mean? So we're trying to implement best practices, routines, the small. This is what they call putting in the work, the grit, grinding it out, burning the
Yep.
midnight oil, guys
Yep.
and gals, right?
Yeah. I
And
saw a really amazing quote to, like, speaking of that, it's like what you do 5 to 9 after your workday, after your busy schedule, and what you do on the weekends shows where your true passions are. So if trading is your passion, you're gonna make that time, you're gonna make that time. Let's say all week you don't have it, you're so exhausted, you can't, your eyes are like red and tired, you can't look at the charts, man. Like, you're gonna make that time at least on the weekends, that's for sure. So you hit it, man. Like, you're gonna make that time intentional. It's process over profits is something that comes to mind. You want
ooh,
to focus on the process, and then the profits will come.
that's another thing, right? Like when you're making strides to your charts or looking at the trading market, like yes, you can't be drunk, you can't be high, you can't be under influence. You also can't be tired, man. Yeah. You can't be falling asleep. If you press that wrong button, you if you instead of trading one lot, you put 10 lot. That's bust.
Or press buy instead of sell, or vice
Yes,
versa.
yes.
You know,
You know, I'm speaking from experience. That has happened, yo.
same here. Same here. I've woken up and I'm like, why? Or I look at TradingView, which is, the tool that we use, or I use to look at the charts. I'm like, I'll put a fake position. Okay, short this market. I see it dropping. I then check my broker, and oh my goodness, I pressed buy instead of sell. And, like, it comes down to not being intentional. It's not being aware right there. It's being distracted. Yeah.
Yes. So Bob on his journey, right? He's making the time. He's being intentional. He makes some trades. What kind of practices can he look forward to even after he closes out some trades? Is there things to look out for, or does he just simply move on to the next trade? He made a profit here and on XYZ stock or pair or coin, and he even suffered a loss. Does he just continue on to trade? Is there things that he should do in between entering the
Oh,
market
yes.
again?
Yeah, I would say, like, well, take the loss, move on. Take
Mm.
the win, move on. But also, what are you gonna do? Is there routines to do after? Absolutely. It's journaling. Like, it all comes down. The way you're gonna see results is intentional journaling. and that means you're describing what your thought process was going into the trade, and then what your thought process is now that the trade is closed. What did you do? What actions did you take while the trade was live? And that, just having that repetitive action and that routine of journaling your trades, that in itself is, that's a whole nother topic. We could talk about journaling in an entire different podcast on how critical that is. But I think, like, after a trade, you should journal it for sure. At the minimum, take a screenshot and then move on. If it hurts, like, you don't need, if it's such a bad loss, even though you followed your plan and like you it just didn't work out, just take the screenshot and move on. You know, that's it. Like, you have to move on and then come back and journal it. But in the end, after the trade is closed, come back and journal it. That's what I'd recommend, Bob. How about you, Glenn? What would you tell
Yeah.
good old
My
Bob here?
when your boys and me in a losing, getting uppercutted and left kick in the throat from the market, right? Soup combo. Um, my go-to, I've learned this over time, right? Of course, you want to look at the journal. You want to reflect on the previous trades you have been making and reassessing yourself. And during being in the market, things aren't going your way. You're making decisions. You can get lost. You can veer off the tracks, as you would say. You can veer off the tracks, go way left. What I do was, after my positions are closed, okay, where I'm not currently worrying about any open positions. My plate is somewhat white. My goal is to reset myself, reset my emotions, reset my mindset, bring me back to a calm, neutral state emotionally, where and not being fearful of pulling the trigger when the opportunity does come up again. So whatever for me, like, some things I do is I'll take a break. I'll close the charts. I'll enjoy a weekend. I'll go do something else. We have, my wife and I have businesses, so we go work on the business. We got this. I'm building up trading content. Take times away from the charts. You know what? And another thing too. Go shopping, dude. Go spend some money. It's
Remember why you
counterintuitive.
do it.
It's counterintuitive. Like, dude, I just lost some percentage in my portfolio, right? But when you're changing your environment, not staring at the screen, you're stepping away, keeping your mind occupied elsewhere, doing different things. You start to forget. Well, not so much forget, but that feeling, that losing feeling goes away. That feeling bad, feeling defeated goes away. And then I start to have the urge to get back in the markets. And that's when I know personally, I'm like, yo, okay, I think I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go. Right? And that's kind of like my best practice routine for when I'm dealing in rough waters, choppy markets, getting whipped out left and right, getting kicked in the butt. So my goal is to just get back to my optimum self mentally. They call it building up your mental capital, and get as present as possible. You know.
You remind me of, I think it was Einstein. He said this. It was Einstein has all these quotes, right? No,
Mm.
maybe it wasn't him, but he says something along the lines of, the problems you create now can't be solved with the same mindset that created it.
Oh.
So when you say, like, go out, spend money, or go out, clear the mind, reset, and you come back, you're with a different mindset. You're not in that, like, sinking lost feeling. You're at a refresh, like, okay, I lost it. Guess what? Now I could go back, I could journal, I could see where I went wrong, what I can improve on. And I think that's very key right there. You're coming back with just a new, it's a new you. That's what it is.
And here's a little
A new
hack.
mindset.
Here's a little hack. If you're losing, if you're down 10%, go tell somebody. Go on social media. Yo, guys, I'm down
Ooh,
10%.
good challenge.
That's a hack. You know why? You're gonna accept that. real quick. When you put it out there like that, you come to acceptance with the 10% loss. And that's why community
That's
is strong. It's important. Or someone having someone in your corner, you can share that. If you're bearing that 10% loss and you're just holding that weight, that's gonna multiply, man. So that's a
and it's hard to do.
master
That's a little
hacker, guys.
fear.
Yeah.
Like you got to overcome that fear. You got to, and that creates, I think that is actually, man, to come off of that, like that goes into fear, confidence, and how that affects your trading. When you're fearful of talking about the decisions you made, you're not coming to that ownership. And when you come to that only when you come to that ownership is when there's growth. And when you're constantly hiding behind like, oh, I'm down. That's all. You're like, okay, well, how much are you down? Why are you down? You're not asking those important questions. You're not asking the hard questions. You're not going to see change in your trading. So that's I like that, dude. I really like that. That's
Yeah.
brave. That takes some bravery, dude. I'm nervous, dude.
Woo! So coming out of losing season, um, it's a challenge, but it can be done, guys. It can be done. But that's not where the trading challenges stop. It just doesn't happen while losing. It also happens when winning, dude. When winning, when you're up, Reed. Like, when you just have a solid month, crushed it. What goes through your mind? Like, what kind of habits come out when you're like, you close the books on that month? You're like, dude, January, I killed it, yo. Like, do you
Dude,
have a trading routine that comes to mind when you do that? A habit.
I mean, my habits have changed to much healthier, but I will tell you about my bad habits. So, like, I would go around, I would tell the wife first, like, babe, we made this much percentage. Babe, you know what this percentage with a $500,000 account gonna get us? Babe, I'm telling you, babe, this is just the start. Like, like I'm telling you, my mind went to like Lambos, it went to houses, like jet skis, like you know, it's we could laugh about it now, but like that was seriously where my mind was at, and that's not a place where you want to be at. It's good to kind of like envision a positive future for yourself, but when that's ego, right? It's ego creeping in, and again, ego is another whole topic that we could discuss that I would love to get into with you, or share about it in a podcast. But the fact that like so now if if it's a good positive month, I'll just journal it. And then okay, now I'm preparing. And now I begin to ask that question like, okay, now I need to make sure that I hold these profits. I need to make sure that I don't go gung ho and just constantly be throwing, oh, I'm up 5%. I could, risk 2% on this trade. Like that's the what it always creeps into my mind that like I reel that thought back. I separate that thought, acknowledge it, and be like, okay, pull yourself back. You're not God, you're not this almighty trader. Like you need to humble yourself because you could lose it all, right? So just that's where like now that I've come to like, okay, I've had a good month. Let's just keep it going, log it, and same thing, reset the mind. I like you said, Glenn, like just journal and reset. So like, how about you, man? Let's talk about a lot like losses and a loss month and a win month. What would you tell Bob here?
Okay, so that's good. Let's reel it back to like coming out of a losing streak, right? You say Bob's on a losing streak, kicking himself. But he's struggling because I'm following all my rules. I'm following my entries and exits to the T, but I'm losing still. I'm not profitable. Well, you know what, Bob? They say the more the amount of losers, when you have more losers, that means the winner is right around the corner, right? And that's what you're going to need to be around in order for you to ride that winner. So vice versa with winning. If you're on a winning streak and you're just absolutely killing it, just know that there are going to be losers coming around. There's going to be a time where those profits go bye-bye, right?
Yeah.
And you have to have the discipline because that happened to me, right? The ego grows, and you think you're invincible during winning times, but you have to reset yourself back and be like, okay, look, I know losses are gonna come. Let's be prepared for it. Let's make sure I don't give it all back. I don't bleed out, right? Because I've gone through that. We've both gone through that. We're like, yeah, I'm up 20%. Yeah, I can lose that. Sure enough, you gave back almost all of it and then some. So, getting yourself back, I like to think about approaching after winning streak or winning season. Um, I go back to not focusing on how much percent I'm up, right? I go back to, okay, here's my portfolio size now. Let me just stick to my current um, prerequisites or curriculum. I mean, boundaries or parameters, my trading parameters, my edge, my system. Let me stick to that. What does it tell me? That numbers should be bigger. You should be trading proportionate to your account, right? If you're used to trading zero point 0.5 lot and then you've doubled your money or whatever, that zero point 0.5 should raise in accordance to your total size of your account. Because if you're trying to, your goal is to grow the account and compound it, you cannot. It's gonna take way longer if you just stick to zero point 0.5 lot all the time. You're trading a six-figure account, bigger account, and then you're just doing that. The growth isn't gonna come, and then you're gonna start second guessing yourself, right? And so for me, like personally too, like 2020 was a good year for me. I was able to take advantage of the drop. I was up uh, over 100% in March, I think. But the following month, when the market was crazy choppy, I gave back, I think 30%. You know, but I knew my end goal was like, okay, I'm up for the year. I'm looking at the year, not just 1 month. Let me stay profitable for the whole year. Let me manage my risks. 30% was a higher than normal allotted drop in equity for me. That was a little bit of the ego, gung ho, letting loose, right? I could have
You over risk
minimized
a
that.
bit.
I could have minimized. I got greedy, right? That's it. It
Uh,
happens. It happens. You get greedy, right? So that was a lesson, and I was still able to finish out the year positive, and it kind of fortified that what I was doing was right, but I can do it better.
I like that. Like you didn't just take that win and like walk away. You were
Yeah.
like, okay, I got this win, but guess what? I had my losses too. So you were looking for growth there. You're looking for how can I improve this win? And I think that's what makes a great trader, Glenn. That's what makes a great trader, dude.
It's a big word, bro. That's a big word for me. So going back to it's a lot of it with your psychological emotional roller coaster. You're gonna have winning streaks. You're gonna have losing streaks. For me too, another thing too when it comes to habits was resetting, bringing my perspective to being in a right place. When it felt more worse for me losing my profits than it did my original capital. And so I had to zoom out. Instead of winning 100% in 1 month and then giving losing 30% of that, I was focusing on the 30%, and that hit me more harder than originally. So switch the perspective. You want to get out of that mindset, that tunnel vision, I don't know what you call it. I was focusing on the wrong thing. And because of that, when you focus on the wrong thing, it just snowballs, right? You just don't even take trades. You're like, oh no, no, I should. You know what? I already lost this much of my profit, right? I'm not supposed to lose profit.
Mm, yeah.
So you wanna get your perspective right, right? And then you want to, like, going back to our habits, right? If you're in a win, you had a big win, and then you started losing a lot more than you're usually used to. You have to fit what is that habit or routine, best practice that you need to implement at that time to stop the bleeding.
It's good. I like how you said go back to neutral. You know, after a winning month, let's say you made, you have $100,000 account. You made, say you made $50,000 account. I mean, you made $50,000 profit. So now you're sitting at $150,000 account. You're not looking at a $50,000 gain. You're looking at, okay, I'm at zero. I'm at zero now. Now I need to gain percentage this month. And like that's how I think that's how we need to, that's a good piece of advice, is like resetting to neutral as
Mm-hmm.
far as that goes. Not like, oh, I'm up this much or I'm down this much. Even, and this goes vice versa. If you lost 30% in 1 month, or yeah, you lost 30% in 1 month, it's good to go back to neutral. Like, okay, this month I'm at zero. It's not that you're down 30%. I mean, you may be on the count size, but like, this is my new baseline. This is my new neutral. Now I'm at 0%. Now I need to make money, or make
Mm-hmm.
percentage. So
Yeah.
that, I like that. Yeah, going back to neutral.
Yeah. So, kind of just rounding out this whole entire conversation that we're having on trading routines, there's a few things that just stick out, right? You got to be intentional. You want to set yourself up with success, whatever routine. We're not saying you have to work out for 30 minutes every day. You want to start your morning, start your day with taking care of yourself first. You want to take care of yourself first. You want to be intentional with the time you're going to trade, whatever your lifestyle is, whether it be 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the midday, or whatever at the end of the night. Everyone has obligations. We have family to take care of. We're holding down the household. We have other things that's going on. Life happens, right? So you want to be intentional with your time. And then when it comes to after the trade, you want to be able to journal, reflect, reassess, clear the mind, right? Winning or losing. I'll let you take off the rest and tie it up, Reed.
Yeah. So we talked about taking it off after the trade. So after the trade, if you're dealing with losses, step away from the screen. Just take a moment, go shopping, like Glenn said. Just go be in nature. That's a really big key in a lot of traders. They like to go just to the park, or in just be in nature. In Hawaii, we're thankful. Luckily, we got the beach. Go hit the beach, man. Even if it's just standing in the sand, you don't have to get in. Just stand in the sand. So that's after losses. After wins, stay humble. Stay humble during the wins. Don't focus on how much you are up or how much what you're gonna do with all your wins. If it's, and here's a side topic, if it's not in your bank account and it's just in your trading portfolio, don't even consider it in your bank account and how you're gonna spend that money. Okay. Uh, Side rant end. And then just overall, at the end of every trading session, after every single day, after every single month, and every single year, excuse me, year, you want to go back to neutral. And by neutral, we mean both, just, we restated this a lot, clear the mind, go back to a reset mentality, be clear, be intentional, and it repeat, go back to neutral, and then it just repeats everything. Just take care of yourself, set the time aside, like, so it'll just continuously be repetitive.
Yes,
So
yes. And
yeah, guys,
another
those are the
thing,
main.
and I mean, just one more, we'll give a bonus, guys. Another, like, the best practice to have as well is always be learning. Lifetime learner. Always
Yeah,
be
I
learning.
like that. That's super important there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're gonna find new routines that work for you. You don't always stick to the same things over and over. Try to mix it up a little bit. And that, I think that's, trying new things is also part of the learning experience of being trading. Oh man, tie it off at the end. I saw this really amazing tweet by some trader, and he said, most people live one life, and he said traders live 5 to 10 lives, because we're always learning and we're always adapting, we're always growing as a human, like as a human being on this planet, experiencing fear, greed in the markets, and then we see that in real life. We handle situations a lot differently. So like having these habits and being open to change, just being open minded, is going to make you just not only a great trader, but it's going to make you a great human being too. That's my last end
Ooh.
note.
Ooh, thanks for sharing that, bro. And on that note, that's a good way to just end this conversation, this podcast episode, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed us sharing our best trading routines and practices that you can apply today. To, hopefully you guys can re-listen to this, take some notes. We dropped a lot of cool stuff here and knowledge and experience. And continue this conversation with us. Go to hawaiitrading.com, hawaiitradingacademy.com, and hit us on the contact if you haven't gotten into our private network yet. You want to continue this conversation, send us a message there, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks for listening off.